You usually when guys retire, when they retire, they go, they coach at a high school level like JT did on Jason Taylor, or they go and maybe get an NFL coaching job or in college. You went to like literally Pee Wee football in Miramar. Okay, so how did that come about, and what made you wanna do that?
So outside of the puppy store, my wife was running the store every single day, and I was trying to figure it out, which is the hardest thing I've ever done. Like just figuring out what's next. Because I played 15 years straight of football from little league all the way up, all the way through. Um, and it was very hard for me to figure out like what I just go to a coffee place every day and read the newspaper. That was my idea of retirement, reading the paper, looking for deals and stuff and trying to figure out what I was going to invest in. And so in the afternoons, I would go with my son, who was about 7 or 8, and he had like 3 or 4 friends. And I got them and I was like, let me teach all these drills. So I go out there and I teach these kids NFL drills. And it was amazing how fast they learned and how fast they picked it up. And those kids' brains are growing so fast and they're so green. So they picked it all up and they were very advanced in what I was teaching them. So I was like, wow, this, felt good. And I knew I had a way of teaching. So I started I sat and watched my son play his first year of Little League. I didn't say one word. I was the basic parent. And I saw a lot of wrong being taught. I'm like, all right. South Florida football now, Little League, people are gambling on games. It was
Yeah,
bad, 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 right?
yeah.
So I said I want to coach. So that's why I started coaching Little League, and I was able to coach my son. I coached Pat Surtain Jr. I
Hmm.
coached Tyson Campbell. I coached who's with the Jaguars. I coached Anthony Schwartz, who's a 10-1 100-meter sprinter, one of the fastest guys in the NFL with the Cleveland Browns. Um, a bunch of other guys in that Little League team. My Little League was stacked, and we lost in the Super Bowl. But what helped me with coaching Little League is I learned I had patience, which is very, very important for coaching, to
Hmm.
be able to get 8-year-olds to pay attention and have enough patience to teach them. And secondly, it taught me to stick to the fundamentals, which is one of the most critical things that you could do. And when I went on to coach in high school, I taught the first step. I never assumed kids knew already. I
Hmm.
coached every kid as if they never heard of football. So, it might be painstakingly and take a long time for me to teach them, but I guarantee you they're going to learn exactly how to do stuff and they're not going to skip steps. So Little League really helped me be a really good high school coach and later on helped me become a state champ.
Yeah, the we're going out over is your time as time in mentorship and so on. And you are a mentor. I mean, because you've been working with kids ever since you left the NFL, basically. So you go from Little League, you became the defensive coordinator over at American Heritage, which was a very successful. You won states while being defensive coordinator at American Heritage at the track level, both men's and women's. Am I correct? How was that like? And how
Wow.
difficult was it coaching? Because being a high school teacher and talking to coaches, they usually do one gender. They don't do both at the same time. So how was that like, and how difficult was it for you?
First off, credit you for knowing that because that's like the thing that's left off my resume the most. And I take a lot of pride because I learned a lot that year. So 2011, I go to American Heritage. I'm the defensive coordinator. I hire my own staff, which is Pat Surtain Sr.,
Hmm.
Rondé Gatson, um, a bunch of guys I hired to, help me on defense. And then after that, so the AD, which the head coach came to me, he goes, "You're the new track coach." And I'm like, I don't like, I've ran track my whole life, but I never coached track. So for me to be able to get out there and coach men and women's track was an amazing feat, and it was a great opportunity for me. So, what I did have though, I had a stacked team. I must say, my girls' team was stacked, and then my boys' team was stacked. And I brought a lot of the football players out there: Sony Michelle, Torrance Gibson, um, KJ Herbert, which is Khalil Herbert's brother, the running back
Okay.
for the Chicago Bears.
Hmm.
Um, all those guys. So I had a really good track team. I'm missing some. Oh, then Teray Smith was one of the fastest kids I ever coached. He's a Bahamian kid that did not play football. But anyways, I just put it together and I challenged them, man. I made them compete for stuff all the time. And I had some really good mentors behind me to help me. And I ended up winning my men and women's state championship. Crazy part about that year is we never came in first place in any track meets until the state. Like the districts, we came runner up. Regionals were like third. and in the States, we won first place in men and women. So I think another big part of me as a coach is the visualization. I'm a big I like to talk like affirmations and talk things into existence. I make my
Mhm.
kids meditate and visualize their success. And I started that as a D coordinator at UM, and I brought it on to my track team. And then I brought it on when I became the head coach. And it's something that I felt like later in my career I learned about. And I always felt like kids need to know that aspect of it because of your mental aspect. Everybody feels the physical and preparing, but the mental preparation is just as important. So I think 2011 around my track team is when I learned to visualize, and that became a big one of the big reasons I became a head coach. I mean, a head coach, and one of the reasons I became a coach here at UM. All this stuff I saw it before it happened, and here I am today.
Yeah, well, mental and whenever I talk to somebody that doesn't understand the game of football, I always tell them that it's a physical sport, but what I love about football, it's chess. You know what I mean? It's a lot of chess because you have to figure out what the defense is doing, and your quarterback got to adjust with audibles and the defense has to adjust to the quarterback. So that's what I find fascinating about football. So people see a football that don't understand the game and they look at it as this brutal, physical, violent sport, but they don't understand that you have to have an understanding of the mental acuity to play such a game because if you're out of position by even an inch, a guy goes 80 yards on you,
Yeah.
or if you over pursue on a blitz and so on, you hit that screen and a guy goes 80 yards on you. So I think it's a good thing that you tie in, with your students, with your players, the whole idea of the importance of having, a strong mind, and being able to not just be able to do, but also to understand as well. And you did a great job because I would say that you really put American Heritage on the map because you won state championships in football as the head coach of the football team once you became the head coach in 2013 and 2014. You were quite successful as well. And I think you laid the groundwork for the American Heritage that is today.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, the visual and the mental part is so important. And here's my comparison in football. Like it's like running 100 meters, picking an SAT at the same time,
Yeah, I
right?
agree.
You got to be thinking, man. It's like I think a lot of people underestimate the communication that goes along with it. And a lot of people don't understand, like, it's not just moving fast, it's really like thinking and communicating really fast too. So it's and I was thinking about this the other day. It's almost like when you watch film, it's like learning another language. Like every week,
Mhm.
you got to learn like Russian, or you got to learn Spanish, or you got to learn um, a different language because you're watching that film. You want to see, okay, what's the receiver doing? All right, so what is the total offense trying to do? And what is this offense going to try to do against this 4-3 defense? So it's like you're constantly breaking it down and learning the verbs and how you pronounce stuff and how you put it into context as far as a phrase. So don't get me started on that. I'll go all day on that. But it
I
is, I
love it,
think,
man. We call it if you want. I love it. I love
yeah,
the whole aspect of the X's and O's of the game, and
yeah. You
so on. Go ahead.
you break it down, man, and continue. It's always evolving. Like my boy Ed will watch a coordinator. Let's say it's a coordinator um that was with the Dolphins last. And he would go back and watch Dolphin film and that whole year to see what this new coordinator's doing now that he's at New England.
Hmm.
And like, Ed is I call Ed a football savant.
Hmm.
Like Ed is a quirky, different dude as a regular man. I love him to death, but he is like sometimes like, bro, like he just come to my room laughing, like, what are you laughing at? Like, I don't get it. But when it comes to football, he's a genius.
Hmm.
And he gets frustrated if you don't see it like he sees it. He gets kind of frustrated. Like that's that's the best I can explain it. He's very, very genius in the game of football and breaking down the film. But in life, he's just like a regular guy, man. So it's kind of like so many different extremes. But yeah, this game is nice. I was lucky to go to Heritage. I went 39-6.
Hmm.
Uh, won their first state championship ever. The school's been there since 1977. And in 2013, I won the first one, and I went back to back and won the second one. And I was about to win the third one when I got knocked out by another school in the fourth round. We had 5 turnovers, which they recovered all 5 turnovers.
Okay.
Not gonna say that name, but crazy enough, that week I spoke to Coach Mark Richt just to congratulate him because he had just became the new head coach of the University of Miami, and we had such a good conversation. He invited me in, and then we talked more about life and family, nothing about football. And then he called me back once he hired defensive coordinator Manny Diaz.
Mm-hmm.
And I went in and interviewed with Manny and Coach Rick. And that's how I became the cornerback coach of the University of Miami in 2016.
Yeah, no, I know. And you had some pretty good corners. One of my favorite cornerbacks that you coached was Corn Elder. I was
Yeah.
a big fan of Corn, and Corn had a remarkable year that first year that you worked with him and under the Diaz defense. And you also, of course, I have some names here. Mike Jackson's another one that gets lost sometimes. Very
Yeah.
talented as well. Trajan Bandy. So I know you work with these high school kids. Did you know some of these kids before you got to the university from your days at American, or was it like a new experience for you as far as dealing with a whole different batch of collegiate athletes?
I had watched, being a Hurricane fan, I just watched them from afar. But as soon as I got into position, I just watched all their film. I just started studying Corn and seeing his background and we started recruiting Trajan. And Mike Jack was
Mm-hmm.
already here. I had to go through a good transition to get in shape and just really see if he really loved football. But I see Corn was Corn was Mr. Football and Mr. Basketball 2 years in a row. And Corn, honestly, I could say Corn's athleticism on the basketball court was what made him a good corner. Really good hips, good quickness. He can go around blocks really well, and he played the ball really well because he's a punt returner. So
Mm-hmm.
Corn has qualities, and all I had to do was bring some of those qualities out of him. Michael Jackson transitioned, got himself into shape, and once he figured out, like, yeah, I want to do this, he became unstoppable, had a great year. And Trajan was just as talented as both of them. Just that 5'8.5", 5'9" corner that didn't fear anybody. Like, I never seen a guy can lock in and get mentally ready where he would turn off social media, talk to his phone like Thursday night before the game on Saturday. Like, he didn't want to talk to nobody. And he showed up to play now. So I just had some really talented guys. We had a good structure of coaches. And being my first year, people forget, like, that was my first year coaching college football.
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot, and I credit just being around some good guys and around some really good players.
Yeah, so the whole part of this we're going over now is the idea of mentorship. So, coaching is in your blood and working with kids in your blood. So aside from developing a good athlete, how important is it for a coach such as yourself to not only develop a good athlete but develop a good citizen, individual, man, etc.?
Oh, that's everything, man, because I've seen it, man. I'm 43, man. I've seen a lot of my life, and to be blessed to be back here at UM working with guys between the ages of 17 and 22 is like I've been put here for a reason. So I'm constantly, and everything a lot of these kids are trying to get, I've got. I've been a first rounder, I've been drafted, I've been national champ. I played in the playoffs in the NFL, and these kids want that. So they come in here and they ask for that. But I always give them just life aspect of stuff. I'm less X's and O's and more just, hey, save your money. You need a credit card. Why it's important to be thankful. Why it's important to pray every day. Just giving them those tokens of things that I wish somebody was telling me when I was their age. So I constantly preach that thing about life. My favorite thing of all and why I became a coach is when I teach somebody something and they might not get it, but when they come back and they say, Coach, you was telling me this, man. You was telling me, I remember you kept telling me to, tackle like this, or you kept telling me that I needed to get my credit, or you kept telling me, make sure how do I learn? I'm a note taker. Am I a visual learner? Am I auditory? Like, knowing those things about yourself gonna come into play, whether you're a football player, whether you're at a job, whether you're a husband, all those things come back into play. So that's my favorite, when they finally come back and say, thank you, because you told me this. And I didn't get it at the time, but now I understand. I get the chills every time I get that.
As a coach and so on, how does it feel when one of your guys gets drafted? I know you're very close with DJ Ivy, and he just got drafted. So how does it feel, as a coach, man, he got drafted. Like, for me as a teacher, like, I love seeing my students, especially when I had them as freshmen, graduate and put on that cap and gown and walk down the aisle, like, wow, they made it, and I had a hand in helping them, get there. So as a coach, how do you feel when you see a guy, get drafted or become an All-American, et cetera?
Oh man, it's special because I've been there and I know that feeling. But I'm always more like, good job. I'm gonna give them their congratulations, but it's kind of step on the pedal, because
Okay.
a lot of guys, their dream is to be in the NFL since since they were 5 years old, they want to be in the NFL. So some people, when they get there, they shut it down. I made it. You know what I'm saying? I made it. I got money. I got all these people loving me. And they shut it down. So I'm more like, congratulations, but keep in mind, like, this to me is the start of your career, and you got to find someone within where you about to push it and try to take this shit to another level. So I'm, with Tariq and DJ Ivy and all my guys getting that opportunity at the next level. They'll tell you. I told them, hey, congrats, but I'm ready to see you turn this whole thing to a whole nother level. You want to try to get to your second contract. It's not just about your first, maybe your third contract. Save. Not what you make is what you save. Your taxes. There's a lot of different things, man, that go into that NFL life. And some people think they're prepared, but you don't know until you get there. So I'll just try to be that conscious person that can inspire them to take it to a whole nother level.
How often do you talk to your former players? They still, even though they have, NFL coaches, they still call you or text you, about maybe their technique or just situations in life since you've been there, and you were a top pick at one point?
Yeah, they all the time. I talked to Tariq the other day, and he was just like, man, everybody in the league remembers you. Like, wherever he went, whatever teams he visited, they were like, is Mike Rumph still at UM? So it felt good that 20-something years later that people are still asking about me and still thinking about me. DJ, same thing. Just all these people he's met and his experiences, and a little bit of like, you told me this, coach, and now I see it. Corn called me for some technique stuff. And I'm like, bro, just, hey, go in there in shape. More than anything, you got to be in great shape when you go into training camp. Work your growing muscles, because at corner, you're constantly opening your hips and flipping your hips. And if you don't train that in the off season, you will pull a groin every single training camp. So I've been through that. So just little stuff. I'm just telling you, those growing, bro, like, the thing is, the DB, I ran forward a lot and I backpedal a lot, but you really train lateral.
Yeah, laterally.
Doing a lot of lateral stuff, and there's a groin, and now I missed 5 days, and now I'm third on the depth chart. Now in the preseason, I got to work my ass off to try to get back to second or first. So you don't want to pull a groin, bro. You know what I'm saying? And like I say, take care of your feet. Your feet got to be on point too. So, but I'm just an endless book of knowledge, and when they reach out, to my point, I'm the most humble person ever. But people not taking my advice, I take that like, I'm not going to tell you too much more advice, because I'm all good to you, but the pure is the pure of things that you need to know. And when they reach out, I'm going to give it to you, almost to a fault. In my career as a starting corner, sometimes I might tell my backup stuff that, might help him compete with me better, but I think that's why I became a coach, because if I know it, I'm going to share it.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's been to a fault with my career, but it made me a really good coach in the meantime,
But giving back is good, even, like a lot of times, you feel there are veterans that feel threatened by the younger up and coming rookie. I think it's also as a rookie, how you approach the situation. If you're, I'm going to take your spot and you're a rookie, you may not want to help that kid out, the individual out too much, because, they may be a detriment to the team in the long run. But I think if you do give back, I think it shows, a little bit of character, and who you are as an individual. So I think, that fact that you did advise, some of the players and stuff like that may potentially challenge you for that position. I think that's a good thing. And on top of that, it could lead, like you said, it could lead to other opportunities. You became a coach, you were able to find a second career, out of football. Well, still in football, but, as basically as a mentor as well. Right now, you're currently serving as assistant director of recruiting. How did that transition happen? All right, and aside from that, what is the future for Mike Rumph? Like, what are your plans for the future? Anything right now, or something you may think about doing in the long run?
When I had been under Manny Diaz for 5 years as a D coordinator. Manny was my D coordinator, and I was the corners coach for 5 years. Great years, learned a lot. Worked my butt off, won a lot of games, man. Turnover chain came, you know what I'm saying? And that's something that I don't want to go over, but I started that crowd. I never got credit for that, but Manny's a great guy. He brought it to the team, but the idea itself came out of the mind of this guy from Boynton Beach, and I wish I would have patented it. I might have been living in the Keys right now.
Partying with
But
Jimmy Johnson.
yeah, but nah, it was just I had a great staff I was with. We had a lot of fun. And up until when I was in my 5th year, I went through COVID, been through a lot of staff changes. And when Manny became the head coach, we had our time together. Then the next year, he was like, "I want to go in a different direction. I do want you on the staff because you're great with parents, you're good with the kids, they all respect you. You're a Cane." So he kept me on in a capacity of assistant director of recruiting. And then Manny ended up leaving, and Coach Cristobal came in, and I stayed in the recruiting aspect. Coach is an amazing coach. Cristobal is an amazing recruiter, so it's an honor just to be in here, working with these guys. And in my heart, I miss coaching, because that's who I am. But I've grown to love what I'm doing here as a assistant director of recruiting. And my main goal is I just want to be a Cane, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love it here. I want to be here. I want to be that guy that's been here for 20 years, and people
Yeah.
come in there like, "What Mike Rumph at?" I want to see him. And I'm in touch with alumni. I got a 2001 chat that we've had for 3 years since our reunion, and we talk every single day. All my team from '01. So imagine that. I'm in touch with the recruits because I'm an assistant director of recruiting. The current players are here. Anybody, the donors, the boosters, all these people that donate money. I'm friends with these people. Carol Sofer, like, these are my friends. I'm such a Cane, and I've been a high school coach sending kids here. I've been a player here. I've been a coach here. I'm in recruiting here. I've been a man of the community watching the Hurricanes. Like, I met my wife here. I had my son here my senior year. I got my degree from here, which I'm the first person to graduate from college in my family. And I stayed in school to do that. I could have left my junior year, but I stayed my senior year. So I got it tatted on me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a Cane. You know what I'm saying? So I love it here. No matter what I'm doing, I just want to be a Cane. As much as I can to be around this program, around these fans, be around South Florida. You know, social media gets brutal sometimes, man. But
Yeah,
it
it
is what
does.
it is. I still love my guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, people like, "You still there?" Yeah, I'm still here. I might be the janitor down there cleaning up, but I'm still in here working in the building, man. You know what I'm saying? I got everything I got came from the Miami Hurricanes, and I enjoy every minute being here.
Yeah, and it's true, man. You are a true Cane, and your humility is absolute. We know each other from the gym. That's how we met. That's how we
Hey,
met. You know what I mean?
hey, tell them what I'm wearing. What I wear in there? What I have on?
Oh,
Hey,
he
you.
is all caned out, man. He is all caned out. First time I said hi to you, I didn't recognize you. I'm not gonna lie to you. You had a
Yeah.
shirt that said Hurricane Alumni, and I told you, "Hey, man, nice shirt." I'm like, "Me too." And you're like, "Thanks, man." then I'm like, "Oh wait, that's Mike Rumph." Like, wow,
Representing,
So go ahead.
representing, man. Hell yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I'm class of 2022. I got my master's there in education, from the U. So I was very proud to do
Right.
so. I love the campus, as well. It's a beautiful campus. There's a lot of upgrades. If people haven't been there for a while, they need to really check out, as well. So again, Mike, we're very
Can I
happy to have. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
can I tell you, can I talk about upgrades?
Yeah, of course. Knock yourself out.
So the University of Miami has been here since 1925. A guy named George Merrick donated 239 acres back in 1925, and then in 1926, the first class was about to open, but a big hurricane came through called the Great Hurricane in 1926. That hurricane messed up a lot of South Florida, messed up the campus, but the campus got back together within the next 2 weeks, and there was a football game that was canceled. So the players are like, "What we're going to call ourselves here at University of Miami?" And one of the players was like, "If we want to wipe all our opponents away, why not be the Hurricanes?" So in 1926, that's how we got our name, the Miami Hurricanes. And this is 239 acres. Our top majors: business, finance, nursing is up and coming. Great law school, great medical school. We're financed by 6 hospitals here in Dade County. We do a good job with research development here, as well as our football ticket sales bring a lot of money into the school as well. We got about 12,000 undergrads here, but only 4,300 kids live on campus. But beautiful campus, brand new dorms, $153 million project that was built in 2020. They're amazing dorms. We got some new dorms coming in 2024 and 2026. And then last but not least, our football facility, 7 stories, parking garage, brand new offices, brand new locker room. That's going to be breaking ground here really soon here. So brand new indoor facilities from 2018, donated by Miss Carol Sofer, the owner of the Fountain Blue and the owner of the Aventura Mall. So big things coming here at the University of Miami. Great things.
Yeah, and if you haven't never been at Canes Fest, last year they reopened it to the public. I was there, and you get to see some of those upgrades and facilities. So if you are a Canes fan, which a lot of you are on here, because you tell me in the comment section, you got to check out Canes Fest. You got to check out the upgrades. The university, it looks dynamic, and I'm not bringing it up, but I've also, if you could also see online the ideas for hopefully a stadium, that they're thinking, that's talking about building. So the University of Miami is doing a lot to upgrade and also attract a fan base and attract recruits as well.
Yes. Well, a few things, Will, before we go, man. I just want to tell you, I appreciate you. And the things that I've really been working on is in my heart. I want to be more of a motivational speaker. I spoke at FCA, Fellowship in Christian Athletes, here on campus a couple of times with Pastor Mike Blanc, who's our team pastor, and just telling my story. I want to be able to relate to guys that are getting ready to go into the NFL, of what to feel, and guys that transitioning out of the NFL. So my story is going to tell you a little bit about being a first rounder and how I transitioned to who I am today. And the other thing that I've been just thinking about is just, being able to explain to everybody, just, settling it, being a regular person. I know some people look at football as their life, but life outside of football is just as important. And I think some people, when they make that transition from football to life, it's tough. But if you always keep yourself as a man up first, I think it'll keep everything into context. But one of the things I want to give you guys before we go, I don't know if we're going or not, but I'm going to leave
No, keep going. Hey, keep going. This is your show, man. You can speak as much as you want. Okay.
So I'm trying to be better on my Instagram, and my Instagram is Coach_Rumph, RUMPH. My Twitter is Coach Rumph 16. There's no underscore, just Coach Rumph 16. But follow me, and if anybody want anybody to come be a motivational speaker, whether it's your business, whether it's your school, where I can't do high school because it's recruiting, but for young kids, little league teams, older adults, I would love to. And it's great now because I'm really honing my skills. I've been doing this for a while, but I'm just doing it for the enjoyment now. So it could be where I could just come in and talk, and I won't even charge you. But that's something I want to grow into, being able to go motivate and help people, inspire people through my story.
Mike, thank you so much for bringing that up. Thank you so much for all, like I said, all you do for the community, all you do for the kids. We need people like you out there, that have a story to tell and have a positive message, for the community, for the nation, the country, the world, etc. So again, I'm very grateful that you came on. You are a very humble guy. It was a pleasure meeting you. It was a blessing meeting you. Thank you for coming on as well. Is there anything else you want to add, before we end today's episode? Or
hey, so Will, you got to help me do the podcast, bro. I have no clue about anything. All I know is to get on and talk. But I want to get my own podcast going too, bro. So we'll talk about that in the future, man. If you can help me out, and maybe we can keep working together or do something. Everybody I know, like, Mike, you need a podcast. You need a podcast. And I'm like, bro, I don't know what a podcast is. I'm old in that aspect, but I'm getting up to date, and I feel like we met and we've been in the gym training, reason and talking. So put me on, bro. Let me know what I need to do.
Mike, you are always welcome on the show whenever you want. Okay, whenever you want. And yeah, when we have some time at the YMCA where we train and stuff like that, I'd love to sit down with you, break it down how you can start it's really easy, believe it or not. It's really simple. It's not that complicated. And because of the podcasting world, the way it's exploded, like Spotify, YouTube as well, which is what we're going to be on, and so on. They've made it a lot easier for anybody to start a show, and someone with your experience and your legacy, as a Cane, you'll do just fine. You'll do just fine. All right. Anything else you want to add, or before we dismiss?
Thank you, man. Appreciate you, Will. I'll see you next week in the gym, bro.
I appreciate it too, man. All right, for everybody, that is Mike Rumph, former national champion, champion state high school football. He has a lot on his resume. State high school football coach, track champion as well, former first-round pick, and former DB coach for the Miami Hurricanes, and current assistant director of recruiting for the U. That's it for me. If you like what you heard, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to 305 Sports Now. I am Will. Stay safe. God bless. See you soon. Go Canes.